want to have a bit of a heart-to-heart with you today, because this is something that I hear from women all the time, and maybe it's happened to you too. You go to your doctor feeling a little bit off, your energy is in the bin, your weight won't budge, your sleep's patchy, mood's all over the place, joints aching, and you just don't feel like you anymore. So you finally pluck up the courage to go and get it checked out. And after a few blood tests and a quick chat, you're told everything's fine. Your bloods are normal, or my personal favourite, it's probably just perimenopause. And you walk out of there thinking, what am I supposed to do with that? Because on the one hand, yes, of course, you don't want anything to be wrong. But on the other hand, when everything comes back fine, but you're still falling apart, it's really confusing and frustrating and really disheartening. And if you've ever felt like that, please know you're not alone, you're not imagining it, and you're not being dramatic. In today's episode, we're going to talk about what might really be going on when everything looks normal on paper, but you feel anything but. We'll also look at why this happens, how conventional testing can miss some really important clues, and what you can start doing differently to finally feel heard and feel better. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's sit with that moment for a bit. That moment when you've built yourself up to go and ask for help. Because let's face it, most of us don't love going to the doctors in the first place. Maybe you've been putting it off for months, hoping that things would settle down on their own, telling yourself that it's just a busy season, or that maybe you do just need to try harder with your food, or get more sleep, or stop being so lazy, even though deep down you know that it's more than that. You book the appointment, you walk in with a list of symptoms: fatigue, brain fog, bloating, maybe your joints ache, your period's doing weird things, your weight's creeping up, and despite eating better than ever, and you just feel off, like your body's not responding the way that it used to. And you sit there, trying to explain it all, and it feels like you're being really vulnerable. You're laying it all out, hoping that someone will see you, will connect the dots, and then you get told that your bloods are normal, or maybe you get a vague nod towards your age. Well, you are in your 40s now, so perhaps it's just perimenopause. Or even worse, the subtle suggestion that maybe it's stress or your lifestyle, or that you should come back if things get worse. And you leave with this weird mix of emotions. On the surface, it's relief, like, okay, great, there's nothing seriously wrong. But underneath that, you're actually more confused than before, because if nothing's wrong, why do I feel like this? And here's the thing that I want you to hear loud and clear. You're not being dramatic, you're not being difficult, and you're definitely not imagining it. I've had so many clients say things like, I cried in the car after that appointment. I started wondering if it was all in my head. I felt like I was wasting their time and mine. It's so disorientating, because on one level you're being told to feel reassured by those normal results, but on another level you're still dragging yourself through the day, feeling exhausted, inflamed, and disconnected from your body, and sometimes genuinely scared that you're slipping into something that you can't quite explain. And this is what I want to say about that. Just because your tests come back normal doesn't mean that everything is working the way that it should. It just means that nothing acute or dangerous is happening based on what they've tested and how it was interpreted. And unfortunately, the way that our medical system is set up, doctors are trained to look for disease, not dysfunction. They're looking for illness that's diagnosable, treatable, and often with medication or referral. they're not typically trained or resourced to pick up on the early signs that your body is struggling to keep up, or to explore the grey area between healthy and unwell. Now, this isn't about blaming doctors. They're doing the best that they can with a very rigid system. But the truth is, many of the symptoms that women in their 40s and 50s experience are considered non-specific, meaning they're real, but they don't easily point to one single condition or test result. So they get brushed off, minimized, or lumped under the just stress or just perimenopause umbrella. And I think that's where a lot of the harm happens, because while perimenopause is a real transition, and yes, it can absolutely affect your hormones, mood, metabolism, and more, using it as a catch-all diagnosis without really exploring what's going on, that's not helpful. That leaves you without a plan, without answers, without hope. And the danger of that is that we start doubting ourselves. We start ignoring the signs. We push through. We tell ourselves that we're just getting older and we need to toughen up. We're not doing enough. And let me tell you, this is not about you not doing enough. This is about not having the right information, the right support, or a lens that looks deeper than the surface level lab results. So if you've ever walked out of an appointment like that and felt small or silly, or maybe that you were just overreacting, I see you, I hear you, and I want you to know that there is a better way to approach this. So let's talk about that phrase, everything's normal, because on the surface, it sounds like good news. But what does it really mean? When you go to your doctors and you have bloods done, they're typically testing a pretty limited set of markers. Usually that'll include your full blood count, liver and kidney function, cholesterol, maybe vitamin D, thyroid stimulating hormone or TSH, and iron levels if you're lucky. Sometimes they'll check estrogen or FSH if they suspect you're perimenopausal, but even that isn't always guaranteed. And here's the problem. The tests are looking for diseases. They're designed to pick up anything urgent or life-threatening. Things like anemia, diabetes, liver damage, or a thyroid that's clearly underactive. But what they don't pick up are the subtle shifts that often happen first, the ones that whisper before they scream. Let me give you an example. Thyroid. Most of the time, doctors will only run TSH. And while that's useful, it only gives a snapshot. It's like looking through a keyhole and trying to describe the whole room. To properly assess thyroid function, we also need to look at free T4, 3T3, and thyroid antibodies, because someone can have a normal TSH and still have sluggish conversion of T4 to T3 or autoimmune thyroid issues like Hashimoto's that don't show up unless antibodies are tested. I've had clients come to me with textbook thyroid symptoms, fatigue, constipation, hair loss, brain fog, and the doctors have said everything was fine. But when we tested more thoroughly, there was definitely something going on. And it's the same story with hormones. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, they all fluctuate. And one isolated blood test taken at the wrong time of the month might look normal on paper, even when you're struggling with mood swings and poor sleep, heavy periods, or weight gain. And that's because hormones are dynamic. They rise and fall, and we need to look at the patterns over time, not just single numbers. Another gap, nutrient status, magnesium, zinc, B12, omega-3s. These all play a massive role in energy, mood, and nervous system function. But most of them aren't checked routinely, or if they are, the reference ranges are so wide that anything short of major deficiency is dismissed. And then there's cortisol, your main stress hormone. It governs your energy, your sleep, your belly fat, and your resilience, but it's not tested at the doctors unless they suspect something extreme like Cushing's or Addison's. And that means that we're missing this massive piece of the puzzle in so many women who are walking around wired and tired, running on fumes and wondering why nothing works anymore. So when we say everything's normal, what we're really saying is nothing severe has shown up on a handful of basic tests. And that's not the same as you're fine. That's not the same as there's nothing wrong. It just means that no one's looked deeper yet. And I don't say this to scare you or to make you feel like you've been failed, but to help you understand why you feel the way that you do and why so many women end up in this confusing, lonely space where they know that something's not right, but they don't know what to do next. It's not your fault. It's a flaw in the system. And the good news is that there is a way forwards. We just need to shift how we approach things. Instead of asking, am I sick? We start with asking, where is my body struggling? What's not functioning optimally? What are my symptoms trying to tell me? And that is where a more in-depth, holistic approach comes in, looking at patterns, symptoms, and advanced testing when needed to uncover what's really going on beneath the surface. We're going to talk more about that next, but for now, I want to reassure you that if you've been told that everything's fine, but you don't feel fine, there's more to the picture and you deserve answers. All right, let's come back to you for a moment. Maybe you've been told it's just stress. Maybe you've been told that it's just your age or just perimenopause, or even worse, you've been told to eat less and move more, as if you haven't been trying. And what often happens after is that we internalize it. We start to think, maybe I'm lazy, maybe I'm not disciplined enough, maybe I'm doing something wrong. And I can't tell you how many women I've spoken to who carry that guilt, that shame, that fear that they're failing at something as basic as looking after their body. So let me say this clearly, you are not lazy, you are not broken, you are not failing. You're probably just missing key information. And once we start filling in the gaps, that's when things start to make sense. Your body is smart. It's always trying to adapt, always trying to keep you safe and functioning. But when it starts to show symptoms, things like fatigue, bloating, stubborn weight, anxiety, low libido, painful periods, it's not being difficult, it's communicating. Those symptoms are data, they're messages. And when we learn how to interpret those messages, we can finally stop feeling like we're going mad and start making progress. Let me walk you through a couple of examples because sometimes hearing it in real life helps to make things click. Say you're tired all the time, but wired at night. Your sleep is patchy, your weight is creeping up, and you feel like you're running on adrenaline. That often points to a cortisol imbalance. Your stress response system is overloaded or dysregulated. That doesn't show up on a standard blood test, but it's very real and very fixable with the right support. Or maybe you're struggling with bloating after meals, sluggish digestion, sugar cravings, and a general lack of energy. That might mean that your gut or your liver are struggling. Maybe you're not digesting food properly, or maybe your detox pathways are clogged, and that can affect your hormones too. Or perhaps you've got cold hands and feet and thinning hair, brain fog, irregular cycles, or cycles that have stopped altogether. That could suggest a thyroid issue, even if your TSH is normal, especially if we haven't looked at T3, the active hormone that your body actually uses. Each of these clusters of symptoms tells a story. And when we zoom out and we look at the whole picture, not just individual test results in isolation, we can start to connect the dots. That's why I always say you don't need more willpower, you need more clarity. The issue isn't that you're not trying hard enough. The issue is that no one's shown you how to work with your body instead of punishing against it. No one's taught you how to look underneath the surface and understand what those signals actually mean. And that's where a more specialized, root cause focused approach makes a massive difference. Not just to help you feel better, but to help you trust your body again, to move out of that space of frustration and confusion and into one of empowerment and understanding. So now that we've talked about the gaps in conventional testing and how symptoms are your body's way of asking for help, you might be wondering, okay, so now what? This is where things get exciting, because the truth is you can get answers, you can get your energy back, shift the weight that hasn't budged and feel more emotionally balanced, sleep better and feel like yourself again. But it often takes looking below the surface. When I work with clients, we don't just glance at 1 or 2 blood markers and say, yep, looks fine. We start with a proper deep dive. We look at patterns. We map out what's been going on in your body and your life, and we connect the dots between symptoms, your history, your stress levels, and yes, your hormones and metabolism. That might include advanced testing if that's appropriate, things like comprehensive thyroid panels, adrenal hormone testing, gut health tests, nutrient profiles, or metabolomics. These are the tests that your doctors don't run, but they give us a much clearer picture of what your body needs to function at its best. But just as important as the testing is the context, because test results are only part of the story. What really matters is how you're feeling day to day, what's changed over the last 6 months or 6 years, what patterns are emerging. And that is the beauty of a specialized approach. It's personalized, it's built around you. It's not about fixing one number on a lab report. It's about helping you feel better, move better, think better, and live better. And here's what I see time and time again. When women start to understand what their symptoms mean, they stop feeling overwhelmed. They stop second guessing themselves, and they stop chasing every new diet or supplement, hoping that it'll be the thing that works. Instead, they get clarity. And once you have that, you can start taking the right actions for your body in a way that feels sustainable and supportive, not restrictive or punishing. And you don't need to overhaul your life to start. The first step is simply getting curious, listening to your body, asking questions, starting to explore what your version of balance and well-being could look like. And if you're not quite ready for full testing or one-to-one support, that's okay too. Even just beginning to understand where your hormones and metabolism might be out of sync is a game changer. It gives you direction and a place to start. So if you're sitting there thinking, this all sounds familiar, I've been fobbed off, I've been told everything's fine, but I know something's not right, please know that you're not alone, and more importantly, you're not stuck. Your body isn't broken, it has just been misunderstood. And once you start looking in the right places, everything starts to make sense. The fatigue, the weight changes, the hormonal chaos, it's not random. It's not just your age. It's not something that you have to just part with. If you're ready to start making sense of what your body has been trying to tell you, I've created something to help. It's a free hormone and metabolism quiz, and it's designed to help you identify which areas of your body might be out of balance and what you can do about it. It only takes a few minutes, and at the end, you'll get a personalized breakdown with insights into what could be contributing to your symptoms, and also a first step that you can take to move forwards. You can find the link in the show notes or the description, or if you head over to Instagram and search for me at Louise Digby Nutrition, If you comment quiz on any of my posts, I'll send you a DM with the link to the quiz. As I always say, you don't need more restriction, you need better information. And this quiz is really simple, empowering, and the best way to start. I hope that you found today's episode really helpful and it gave you some clarity and a bit of comfort, and most of all, the reassurance that your symptoms are valid, your experience is real, and that healing is possible. You deserve to feel good again. Take care. I will see you in the next one.